Hello tea drinkers. Today we have only one story with a few updates. Title: How do I tell a one-night stand that I have his kid? So, my son's dad was a one-night stand. He was a truck driver stuck in a snowstorm, and we met at a bar and hooked up. We didn't swap contact details. I was just feeling bored and lonely because of the pandemic, and I didn't think about protection. I absolutely adore my kid, though, and I'm thankful I didn't catch any diseases. When I found out I was pregnant, I decided to keep the baby. I was raised Catholic, which made me hesitate about getting an abortion, but really, I wanted this child. I earn enough money, and while child support would be nice, we can manage without it. I never expected to see the guy again and was fine with that. My son has my last name because I didn't know his father's. I was prepared to be a single mom, and honestly, from what I've seen with some of my friends, we're better off without a potentially troublesome dad. But recently, a friend who works at a gas station saw him. She found out his name from his ID and confirmed it was him. She even got his number for me. Now, I can't just ignore this and need to make a choice. First, should I even tell him? I've heard so many horror stories about bad dads. If I knew I'd have to deal with him regularly, I might have made a different decision back then because of the risks. If I tell him, he might want custody, and the thought of my baby being with a stranger terrifies me. On the other hand, how can I deny my son a father? When he's older, I can't lie to him if he asks about his dad. I'm thinking of telling him, but how? Should I just text him or meet him in person when he's in town? Are there any legal issues I should be aware of? As a mom, I worry about everything backfiring and hurting my son. I'm probably overthinking, but I really need some advice on what to do. Update: I decided to run a background check on him first and everything looked clear, so I thought I'd meet him to see what he's like. I even thought about hooking up again to get to know him better. But I didn't have to go that far. He texted me saying he was coming to town, so we met for breakfast. It felt good because breakfast seemed more about getting to know each other than hooking up. We chatted like you would on a normal date. Then he asked if I had kids. I said I had one, and he guessed his exact age, just over a year old. He figured out he might be the dad because my friend, who he'd never met, insisted he contact me. He joked it must be either about a baby or something serious like an STD. I told him everything then. I haven't introduced him to our son yet, but I showed him a photo. He thought our son was adorable and looked like him. We're going to do a paternity test. He's the only Asian guy I've been with, and our son is part Asian, but he wants to be sure, which I understand because some women do lie about these things. He said if he's the dad, he'd pay child support and start with supervised visits until I'm more comfortable. He lives in his truck, so no judge would give him full custody yet. So, I didn't get to choose how to introduce them on my own terms, but everything seems to be going okay so far. Second update: the paternity test came back positive. Since then, Steve and I have been staying in touch through texts and phone calls. Figuring out a good time for him to visit has been tricky because of his irregular schedule, but we're working on it. I've sent him loads of pictures and videos of our son, Kiddo, and have filled him in on all the little and big moments of Kiddo's life. Steve has been quite laid back throughout our conversations. He has confirmed that he doesn't have other children and explained that the night we met was an unusual lapse in his usually cautious behavior. He's also been sharing parts of his culture with us, which has been wonderful. He sent us links to children's songs in one of his languages, and Kiddo, along with some kids I babysit, have been enjoying them. It might even help them become bilingual, which would be fantastic. A few comments from friends and strangers have made me think about how stereotypes affect us. They mentioned how unusual it is to see an Asian trucker, which led me to reflect on the expectations we set for people based on their background. I'm committed to making sure Kiddo feels free to pursue whatever path he chooses, free from stereotypes or biased expectations. Financially, things are tight for Steve right now as he's supporting his family through some challenges, so he asked if he could start providing child support later, and I agreed. Child support should be a gesture of love, not an obligation. I also made it clear to Steve that if he feels he isn't ready to be a dad, he can step back, no hard feelings. He assured me he wants to be involved and is excited to meet kiddo. Final update. Steve and I are making progress with co-parenting. We've agreed on a plan that includes frequent FaceTime calls and occasional visits for now, hoping that as kiddo grows, we might extend those visits, especially if Steve's living situation changes. When Steve met kiddo for the first time, his reaction was incredibly heartwarming. He smiled so brightly and even seemed a bit teary-eyed as he held him. It reassured me a lot, as I had been worried he felt obligated rather than genuinely interested. His reaction showed me his true feelings, and it was a relief. Steve brought with him 7 stuffed toys from the states he's traveled through since learning about kiddo. He aims to collect a toy from every state, with a stuffed octopus from California already becoming kiddo's favorite. He also plans to bring key chains next time because kiddo loves playing with his keys. Kiddo hasn't started calling him Dad yet and treats him like any other friend, which is normal at this stage. They enjoy each other's company, and it's a process of getting to know each other. We spent a lot of relaxed time at home but also enjoyed outings to the park, the lake, and even the zoo, which was kiddo's first visit and he was fascinated by all the animals. We've also had the chance to meet some of Steve's relatives over FaceTime. They've been really welcoming, which makes me happy that kiddo will have such a supportive extended family. Regarding child support, Steve has started contributing what he can, $200 so far, with the understanding that he'll provide more when he's able. We agreed to keep things informal without legal agreements, based on mutual trust. Though Steve can't visit for Christmas, we're planning a small celebration before then. Life's complexities continue, but we're adapting and looking forward to each new step. We even ended up hooking up again, using protection this time. I believe our arrangement works for us right now, though it's unconventional. I'm cautious about any impact on kiddo, but I'm hopeful, as he seems to be doing well with how things are going.